And if you guys weren't such fucking pussies and poor, sore losers, and you guys didn't ban me, I would never have changed my life.
Let's talk about it, because we didn't really.
They're all fucking crooks.
We didn't get into this. Is obviously it's not the cashier. He's not the one doing this, right? Not the person taking the bets. How far up is this?
It started with Jay Cornegie at the Hilton. Jay Cornegie's a piece of shit. Jay, you're a piece of shit. All these guys like you when you're losing, but when you're winning, they're a bunch of crooks. They took my comps away. I can't even tell you how much Jay Cornegie, you're a fucking piece of shit. But I'm grateful for you being a piece of shit, Jay, because if this indictment never happened, and if you guys weren't such fucking pussies and poor, sore losers, and you guys didn't ban me, I would never have changed my life.
So do you think he's in like talking to federal investigators? Like, how do you think this whole thing gets started? Because there's like, I guess there's a bridge, there's a disconnect between you are not, the motivation makes sense. Totally understand, casinos don't want to pay you out. Carl Icahn, I don't know if you know he is, he's a hedge fund manager. Frequently he'll get into financial transactions with people and he realizes it's cheaper for him to go to trial than it is for him to pay the people out. So he just doesn't pay. So this is what it felt like with this situation. It was like, they kind of knew it was easier for them to just put because it doesn't cost them anything to get the federal government. All they have to do is
say, we're not going to pay you. And what's most people going to do? Most people aren't going to spend out of principle.
Yeah.
Say most people have an $80,000 ticket.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay you. Are they going to spend $250,000 in lawyers, attorney services?
Right.
No. Or they're going to get scared shitless.
Right.
So they try to out leverage me. They took my bets for 15 years. One loss, lose, no problem. One lose, win big, it's a fucking problem.
Right. Okay, so that's what triggered it. Do you think they just had like a conversation? Because here's the thing that another people don't realize is that you have to pay for your own defense, but the casinos could but the casinos could stick the federal government on you. They don't have to pay for any of that.
Yeah, and then when I win, they don't pay my attorney fees.
Right.
But again, it was out of principle.
Right.
I'm a man of principle. Anyone that knows me, it's not about the fucking money. I'm just how my brain works, how my system works. It's like, if I believe in something or believe in the principle, I fight for it.
Okay.
I'm different from most people.
Beautiful. So here's one thing I didn't quite understand from the movie. The indictment had to do with a incorrect social security numbers. Can you go back? Now, I know it's 15 years previous. You probably don't remember. Do you think something happened where you wrote your cursive incorrectly? What do you think happened? Completely made it up?
Back in the day, you could fill out there was no players cards.
Okay.
You'd fill out a piece of paper with a pencil.
Mm-hmm.
They could go in the back and erase it.
Okay.
But obviously, for 15 years, it was never an issue.
Right.
But when I break all the records, it's an issue.
Did you see the evidence that the government had?
Nope.
You never saw the cards that supposedly had the wrong.
We never went to the final trial.
Oh, okay. So you never even got to see that.
We went. I called the bluff and said, "Okay, I'm not signing a plea bargain. Let's go to trial." And they didn't do they decided to drop, as the movie said. They decided not to move forward with the trial.
So let's talk about that, man. Your plea bargain goes from 40 to 20. They get down to 3 years and then offer you
It was 40 years in prison.
No. What does that feel like? So now I just want you to consider it's scary as shit. Obviously, the federal government, they bat about 970, right? They most of the time they get convictions, but they're coming down in years so rapidly. Do you feel like I've got these motherfuckers there? I'm calling their bluff. What does this feel like at this point? Are you still nervous to go from Dave? Do you understand to go from 40 to 3? That means that you've got something going.
Actually, it was, 40 years in prison down to 2 years. I just stood by my ground,
Yeah. If I was playing poker and somebody dropped out that much, like, no, I want to take out, and they go from 40 to 3.
But it wasn't just like that.
Yeah.
This was over 3.5 years.
Okay, got it.
3.5 years is exhausting.
Right.
Okay, 3.5 years meeting with the government, having your attorney with the government. They offer you this. They had like a laundry list of shit, money laundering, structuring, messenger betting, all kinds of bullshit, like they wanted me, I was making money at the time, but they thought it was like illegal money. It was all legal money. So they investigated me and found nothing. And eventually, as the movie said, they went after me for social security numbers, which I thought was crazy. I've been using the same social security number the whole time.
And they had no problem when you were losing, and they just had a problem when you were winning. The money laundering was an allegation, but were you ever charged with that?
No.
No. Okay. And what was it? What were they saying? They were just trying to make up some reason.
They just had a laundry list of shit.
Yeah.
They just list a bunch of shit just to scare the fuck out of you. And do you want to take all this, or do you want to negotiate, take 10 years in prison, and we'll only get you for X, Y, and Z?
Right.
So it was just a lot of not negotiating, but fighting and patience and discipline. It was long. 3.5 years like that feels like 50 years.
It doesn't. Yeah, because it doesn't cost the federal government any more to provide more indictments. They could just throw in wire fraud or whatever else, and they just kept doing that. And
But once you get to like 3 years, they got to make a decision, And I think they understood that I don't think anyone in the world has ever posted their indictment online.
Yeah.
You know, most people are embarrassed when you're on and they try to embarrass me, put me in the news. Vegas Dave indicted. I posted all that shit and I flipped it and said free content.
Yeah.
I posted it on social media. I did the complete opposite.
Do you think anyone else is going to do that? Because I've always thought it was kind of sort of one size fits all. The belief that when your attorney tells you don't post anything, and I'm like, if you're really that innocent, I feel, and you had a social media platform. If I was in a situation where I know I was being indicted for something I didn't do,
Nowadays, yes, I think so.
I would absolutely have done exactly what you did. And I'm just curious, you think more people are going to do that?
Nowadays, with how big
Yeah.
I mean, social media is huge.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought your attorneys are using advice from 1985, and I feel like there was a way for you to turn this in your advantage by doing what you did.
I was just so upset at the time because I knew what they were doing was fucked up to me. I have great attorneys. You know, I owe my life to David and Richard. They're two of the very most stand-up guys I know.
How did you find those attorneys?
Well, the first guy, I don't want to mention his name. He's a piece of shit too, but he stole from me. So I don't want to mention this guy's name. I got an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Listen how fucked up this system is. I get an attorney. While I'm going through my first trial, he takes my phone because you have to take out the court system. He puts a tracking device in my phone. Okay, so 2 weeks later,
this guy works for you.
My first attorney. I'm not gonna mention his name.
Yeah.
He's another fucking piece of shit.
Yeah,
a lot of piece of shits here in Vegas. Anyway, so I go to Albertsons. I go grocery shopping. Then he goes, "Hey, why were you at Albertsons yesterday at 6 p.m.?" I'm like, "How the fuck do you know?" He's like, "Oh, the feds. They're watching you. They're watching you." He was trying to scare me, like they're following me, so he can get more money out of me. So
your attorney was doing this to try to make it seem like he was connected with the feds.
Yeah, and that's how much they're on you. He knew everywhere I was going.
That's crazy.
How the fuck do you know this? And then I found out a tracking device. I went to his office, kicked his fucking door down. I said, "You're a motherfucking piece of shit. You're fucking fired." And I walked out. And then I was lost. Because listen, you're facing 40 years in prison. You trust your life on an attorney to protect and serve you. And you find out he's fucking lying to you and just stealing money and working the other side. Who can you trust?
Yeah.
There's no one left. The government fucked me. The casinos fucked me. It was just a fucked up situation. And I had an attorney I trust. I give him money, and he's lying to me.
How'd you discover the guys you ended up?
Well, everyone knows David Chesnoff.
Okay.
You know, when the crazy thing is, like at that time, I didn't have an extra $300,000-400,000 for Chesnoff. You know, but he reached out to me.
Yeah.
I was coming home from the Angels game, and a guy reached out to me and said, "Hey, David wants to call you Chesnoff." I'm like, "Bro, I can't afford him right now."
Right.
You know, and he's like, "No, just talk to him." And David heard about my story, and he says, "I'll work with you." And then me and my dad went down and met him, and I'm just so grateful for David and Richard because they're two great guys, and they listened to my story. They saw the bullshit. They believed in me, and then we fought for 3.5 years, and we still keep in touch once a month. They're great guys.
That's incredible.